Well, let's discuss this further with Joshua Franco, who's a researcher with Amnesty International's Technology and Human Rights Division. Joshua, thanks for coming to join us here in the studio. So I know that several activists told Amnesty that they were under surveillance, that their phones were being monitored, their emails and their social media were being hacked. I mean, on what kind of scale do you think this is happening?
Well, we don't know, and that's exactly the point. One of the things that's most disturbing about the system in Belarus and that allows such abuse to happen is the total secrecy surrounding the system. The secrecy surrounding it, how it's employed, how it's overseen, how it's used, how often it's used. The telecom firms themselves don't know when the government are accessing their data.
And of course, this is particularly sensitive for people in Belarus because secret surveillance was used in a widespread crackdown after the elections in 2010, weren't they?
Exactly, and that's something that people brought up all the time. The prosecutions that happened against opposition politicians, against human rights defenders after the 2010 elections, there were very widespread use of private data through surveillance or other means we don't know, but it was very well known, and people knew that protesters were tracked by their mobile phone location data, and so that gives people an inclination 5 years on that they really need to watch what they're doing, that they might be watched at any time, and that's a key reason why people are so scared.
Now, the three big mobile phone providers in Belarus, MTS, Life, Velcom, what have they said about these allegations? Have you approached them? Have they spoken to you?
We sent summaries of our findings and some questions as well to numerous agencies of the Belarusian government, as well as all of the domestic mobile providers and the state internet provider. We received very limited responses. We did not receive response, for instance, from Life, which is one of the mobile providers within Belarus, or their parent company, Turkcell, did not respond to our queries. And we think that these companies really need to do more to stand up to the government.
Are they colluding with the government? Because presumably simple encryption software would prevent this kind of surveillance happening.
Well, by law, in order to operate in Belarus, you need to grant access, or at least ask whether you need to grant access to what's called the SORM system. And the SORM is a system that allows the KGB and other government authorities to tap directly into the mobile phone networks. And that can be for real-time surveillance or for access to retained data like location, call time, those kinds of things. So there's really nothing they can do about it once they've acceded to that system.
Okay, so clearly what Amnesty are asking for is some kind of overhaul of the laws governing surveillance. What do you want to see happen in Belarus?
Well, first and foremost, the Belarusian government have the primary responsibility, and they need to reform the law that governs surveillance as well as the practice. But we also want to see these telecoms, as well as their foreign owners, pushing more on this. I want to see them standing up to the Belarusian government to challenge the problematic arrangements like direct access, which we think is a huge problem. We want to see them being more transparent about what goes on with these. A lot of, several anyway, mobile providers have published transparency reports about how many times the police access data of customers. In Belarus, that's impossible because the telecoms don't know. But they should at least be open about what the framework is so that when someone buys a SIM card, they know what they're getting into in terms of the government accessing their data.
And presumably this isn't just a problem in Belarus?
No. Surveillance and unlawful surveillance are a problem globally. This is one of the reasons we wanted to look first here. We know from social science, we know from other fields that chilling effects are caused by the uncertainty around surveillance. And we really want to look at, well, what does that look like for activists in a heavily surveilled state? And we found it's really driving people into a kind of secrecy where they are so concerned about maintaining the secrecy of their work, it's nearly impossible to do the work that activists need to do, which is drum up public support, organize protests, that sort of thing.
Joshua, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us about that. Joshua Franco from Amnesty International there.
Thanks for having me.